What's the most useless thing they teach in school? The tongue taste map. Not only useless, but incorrect. Oh shit, I totally forgot about this. I remember having to fill out a diagram of a tongue with the tastes on different parts of it. The entire life of my school founder. The worst of all is that they teach us the same thing all the years. Why would anyone need that? I presume it's a vanity thing the founder installed at some point. I graduated in 1991 for context, and while living in Phoenix, they taught us square dancing in gym class. I must say though that the most useful skill that I was taught at that school that I use every single day is typing. Square dancing has been taught in schools for many decades. All thanks to the industrialist Henry Ford. He pushed for it hard and won. He didn't like the new dances people were doing, and wanted this American tradition preserved. In order to graduate middle school you were required to complete the Cupid Shuffle, Cotton Eye Joe, and Electric Slide in front of your class. I guess this taught us the concept of pure embarrassment. Like, just by yourself you had to get up in front of the class and dance. They taught competitive cup stacking in my elementary school. Still have no idea why. Edit. This was in central Canada. But clearly it was widespread across a lot of North America. Please stop asking me if I went to your school. I probably didn't. I was taught that Columbus knew that the world was round, but everyone else thought it was flat. So, yep, that. By college I was calling American history the but actually class. I had it in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then in college. Every time I took it, the teacher basically said, I know that you were taught blank in whatever grade. But actually what happened was, example, elementary school, Lewis and Clark were super brave and the lessons made it seem like it was just the two of them venturing into the unknown west. Middle school, Sakagor was there, too. High school, actually there were like 30 people on that expedition. Well, I'm old so take my answer in context. How to use an abacus. When I was younger I learned the abacus enough in Asian math school that I was able to do abacus calculations using muscle memory, so essentially an invisible abacus, which allowed me to do double-digit multiplication in my head pretty easily. So pretty helpful if you can do that, lol. The way the US public school system teaches it. Spanish. You learn it maybe half a year then forget it over the summer. You'd think with years of education we'd be better Spanish speakers, but it's essentially useless the way it's taught. I took 2 years in school and barely learned anything. I can still pick up a word here and there, but that's it. You won't have a calculator in your pocket in the real world. Edit. Yes, I know how to do math. I'm an engineer and I like math theory. I promise I'm not a brain-dead mobile addict. You know. As pissed off as it made me in class, I am a bit grateful to be able to do math without a calculator. Then again, I suck at math. So, according to my son, apparently everything. All of me. Completely opposite. When I was in high school we had driver's ed, gun training, basic car maintenance, home economics, a class when we learned how to do taxes. Edit. Also sex ed. Where and when did you go to school? That you have to ignore bullies and or forgive them. In real outside world if you bully someone you will 1. Get slapped across the face. 2. Get kicked in your butt. 3. Fired from work. Or 4. Shunned and made fun of. P.S. My friend's nephew got bullied at school. The bully was pocking him with his finger so hard that the next day the nephew had like 20 small bruises all over his back. The teacher just told him to ignore him and made the bully apologize. Now I dare you to go to work tomorrow and start pocking people and I see how far you go. If someone beats you up in high school it's bullying and boys will be boys. The moment you turn 18 suddenly it's called assault and they can go to jail for that. I had the pleasure of yelling that at my principal in 10th grade. Basically calling her out that as a teenager they wouldn't do anything about it, but the moment my bully turned 18 I could have his ass arrested. Suddenly she took the bullying situation differently now that I threatened to bring the cops in. They mostly taught us to ask permission in order to use the bathroom. 40 years I've been asking permission to piss. I can't squeeze a drop without say so. That hiding under your desk will keep you safe from bombs and tornadoes. Yes, I know what it's actually for. It's just always been a silly visual. I can say with decent confidence that I don't think anything I learned was really useless. There's stuff I haven't used, but I don't regret learning it. You know. I like your take. Learning stuff is cool. That classical literature is the end-all be-all of reading. I get some books have cultural significance, but that doesn't warrant a 6-week in-depth analysis of a book kids can't relate to, with most being about challenges they will never face, culminating in an essay that's basically I understood it repeated over and over backed up by quotes. If you want your kids to never touch a book in their lives ever again, that is how you do it. I feel like almost everything has some value, but I really wish that they taught high school classes on operating systems, Excel, and an introduction to programming and logic. I learned it all in college, but Excel saved me a ton of time on homework. Programming played a much greater role than I could have imagined, and high school left me unprepared for that. That's crazy you didn't. I live in the most rural-ass place in Iowa, and we have computer apps which is basically a semester class on that kinda stuff. Not useless. Just poorly taught. History. It was just a collection of dates, names, and numbers. Memorize this stuff. We'll have a test. The significance of so many historical events was never taught or discussed. World War II was the only one that was somewhat approached at scale. But even then it boiled down to Germany was pissed off about World War I and Hitler hated the Jews. This was at a good high school too. The whole class was in advanced classes, IBAP. Actually history was one subject which was taught pretty well in my school. I'm in the UK. It taught deductive reasoning, analytical skills, finding multiple sources to verify historical truth etc. Pretty useful subjects all around really. Sucks that your experience wasn't like this : Sex and drug education. The entire lesson plan is, just don't do it. Fucking bullshit. Cursive. I have never used it outside of signing my name. It's being phased out sorta. It's taught to kids young but I think it's mostly about teaching kids to learn. They don't do it anymore. But back around 2000 in health class we all had to plan a wedding. Like, pair up and budget out a rental space, food, rings, etc. Looking back, what the fuck? I mean, the budgeting part would have been nice to have had. But it would have been better to have it be general budgeting, not wedding budgeting per se. Though I suppose it would have been fun, when I did get married, to see how close I could stay to the budget I had made then. My secondary school made us all take religion up to Excel level. That was so fucking pointless, especially when you had limited choices on what subjects you could take. The other side of your point. I took a world religions class and it was great. We went through the core elements and history of all major religions. Highly enlightening. Square dancing. I have no idea why the hell they thought it was necessary to teach a bunch of middle school kids square dancing, in California. Not some backward school. But I have never seen anything related to square dancing since then. And this wasn't even a one-time class or something. The teachers carried on for months teaching it. And then I never heard about it again. Historically it had something to do with Henry Ford's influence and his beliefs that it was an alternative to jazz, which he thought was socially destructive. Nowadays, pay teachers will probably say it's because it's very easy to teach large groups of kids, and it forces adolescents to get over shyness about interacting with and holding hands with the opposite gender. Double spacing after punctuation. I can't unlearn the habit. They taught you that? I thought that was just a weird thing some people did. When was that ever accepted as the standard? High school level sports marketing has got to be the most useless class. Writing and spelling. Useless. Religion. 9+1 years of listening to the same old shit. At least in high school. It was little different. We got to watch Bruce Almighty. Oh and our Ray teacher. https://www. Google. Company. Campus www. Northampton. Company. News Ray teacher Northamptonshire who had more 250 images children engaging sex acts spared jail 1,174,730 divided by 3 famp, may have been a pedophile. The bell doesn't dismiss you, I do. Of course the bell dismisses you. What you're being prepared for, however, is a lifetime of bosses telling you that coming in 15 minutes before your shift and staying 10 minutes after doesn't count as overtime and doesn't need to be paid. That it's okay to violate that safety rule on site because OSHA isn't paying you. I am. And the customer is waiting on you. Basically, anytime an authority figure isn't following the rules they themselves set for everyone, you are being trained to accept that behavior in your adult life. Getting to post-secondary and having adults respect you as an adult is trippy like that. Both educators and students have lives to pursue outside of class. As someone who thinks about pursuing public teaching highly, I despise assuming an authoritarian role like that, though I fear it'll be necessary. I was coming in here ready to defend education and say that even information you don't use in your everyday life has value. Then I read the first comment and realized I had rose-colored glasses on pretty fast.